Hi everyone, I'm Rockin Robin from CookingMexicanRecipes.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cornbread recipe, Mexican style. Now mine's going to have some chilies and some cheese and quite a few other ingredients in there, and I'll tell you about them in just a minute. So let's go over our ingredients for our cornbread recipe. First of all, you're going to want to use a 9x9 baking dish. You can use anything you want. You could even use a cast iron pan if you wanted to. And I'm going to go ahead and coat this with like a Pam spray. Alright, so our ingredients are, we're going to need some cornmeal. We're going to use some flour. This is just regular flour. Here I have some onion, yellow onion, diced up very fine. And we'll need some sugar. And over here I have, I took a can of cream style corn and I put it in a blender. So this is a cup of that, nice and thin. Over here I've got 1 clove of minced garlic. Here we have some butter that's melted. You want it to be nice and melted. Here we've got some mild cheddar cheese, 1 egg scrambled, and some baking powder. Here I have 1 can, 4 ounces of diced green chilies. Put them in a strainer and just stir them until you get the juice out, because the juice in my particular one was very thick, so you want to encourage that juice to get out. We'll need some salt and some olive oil. And the very last ingredient that we need is going to be some whole milk. Now I want you to use whole milk as opposed to skim milk because it'll give it a better texture. So the first thing we want to do is combine our dry ingredients in a large bowl. So we'll start with our cornmeal. We'll just pour that right in. And we'll add the flour, the sugar. You always need to add a little sugar to this recipe just to get a little sweetness. Baking powder and our salt. All you gotta do is take a whisk or a spoon and just combine it just like that. And then we're gonna set this aside and we're gonna start on our onions. Okay, that should do it. Our next step is to caramelize our onions. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm a caramelization freak, we'll call it. I like to caramelize my onions a long time to get really good flavor out of them. So we're going to put our oil in the pan, add our onions, and I have the temperature on medium-high. Well, start at medium-high and then we'll go down to low. And we're going to just stir these and cook them. You know, stir them frequently, spread them out in your pan like I'm doing here, let them cook, and then just come back and just keep stirring them for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I just wanted to show you it's been 10 minutes since I've been caramelizing these onions, and you can see they're starting to turn golden brown and they're starting to cook down, so there's not as many as there were, or at least doesn't look that way from when we started. Now the reason why I like to do this is because this process brings out the sugars in the onion and it just adds a tremendous flavor to just about any dish that you put them in. So now I'm going to go ahead and go another 10 minutes. My temperature is on low and I'm just going to keep spreading them out and stirring them just like you see here. And then after the next 10 minutes we'll be adding the garlic. Alright, we'll be back in 10. Okay, so here are our onions after 20 minutes. Look at that. Beautiful golden brown. Now it's time to add our garlic. So I'm just going to add that garlic right in there and cook this for another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so we're done cooking our garlic into the onions. So I'm going to turn off the heat and now I'm going to let this cool. I want this to cool down before we continue with our cornbread. So I'm just going to pour this into the bowl with the green chilies. I'm going to let this cool down for about 10 minutes. Now we're ready to pour everything together. So we're going to add to our dry mixture, I'm going to be pouring in my cream of corn here. And when we mix this, we want to mix it just until it's mixed. In other words, we don't want to overmix it. And then we'll add the egg, the milk, and the butter. And then just take your spoon and work in the mixture. and get everything, you want to get the all the flours and all the dry particles moistened. And when we get that, then we'll move on to our other two ingredients. All right, now we're ready to add our green chili, onion, and garlic mixture that has been cooled, and the cheese. Just until we get everything combined. Again, we don't want to overmix this. So the best way to handle it is to fold it in. And once it looks like it's pretty well distributed, we'll be ready to pour it in our dish. All right. So over here, I've got my dish that I've sprayed some Pam into, and now we'll just put our cornbread mixture into our dish, and we'll put it in the oven, which, by the way, I've preheated to 375 degrees. Okay, here we go. So we'll just pour that in, and then I'm going to spread it around. And a spatula works really well for this, and just pushing it to the edges. And we're ready to pop this in the oven. Okay, so set your timer for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and set mine for 25 and we'll check it, but it should be done somewhere in that range. So I took the cornbread out of the oven after 30 minutes, it was done. So you want to leave it sit and cool for about 10 minutes before you cut into it. So let's go ahead and do that. See if we can get it out. Usually the first piece is the toughest, right? So let's see if we can scoop this up. Look at that, looks very nice. All right, look at that, looks beautiful, doesn't it? So, if you would like to get the written version of this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and put a link down below in the description of this video. That link will take you over to my website at cookingmexicanrecipes.com, where you can find this recipe and many more Mexican food recipes that you can make at home. Now, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure and subscribe to my channel by clicking that link right up there and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.